Today's episode of Daily Good News, we're going to talk about new legislation that is sweeping across the U.S. as peaceful protests continue around the world. All of that and some more on the Daily Good News. Cue it! What's up, everybody? It's your girl Jessica, aka J Hart, and I am your host of the Daily Good News. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get notified anytime a new episode drops. Now, normally I go straight to the vibe check. I just want to say before I do the vibe check that I took some days off because the last week was just very overwhelming emotionally for a lot of us, and it's very easy to tune in to what's going on in the world and to see like looting and rioting and just feel your emotions and get kind of sucked into it. So it's really, really important that you take time for yourself, do what makes you happy, do what brings you joy, meditate, do yoga, protect your energy, and yeah. So let's take a moment to do a little vibe check. Vibe check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I see you and I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's take a moment to be present and take a deep breath in. Let's get right to the good news. Now, with everything going on, you may think that it's hard to find good news, that there's nothing good happening. But now more than ever, it's really important for me to use my voice, which is why I can't stop sharing the good news, because I don't want you guys to think like there's no good news happening. There's a lot of good things happening, and today I'm going to focus on the good that has come out of all of these peaceful protests, all of the frustration that many people around the world feel. There's a lot of discussion around Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of discussion around police brutality, racial injustice, and one may think that it's just all dark and scary and there's so much hatred and all of this stuff, but I'm here to let you know that there are some good things happening. It's been 2 weeks, just about, since George Floyd was tragically murdered in Minneapolis, and his untimely passing has just set off peaceful protests around the world. People are demanding change. People want real positive change, and it seems that lawmakers, governments around the US are actually listening to what people are asking for. And we're taking some baby steps right now, but we need to celebrate every step, no matter how small it is. Let's head over to Dallas, Texas, where new legislation was passed. The city's police chief issued a new order saying that an officer must intervene when another officer is using excessive force. Now, that was in Dallas, Texas, where this new order was issued by the city's police chief. Jersey, the Attorney General, said that the state would update its use of force guidelines for the first time in 2 decades. In Maryland, state lawmakers have formed a group where they said they will be discussing police reform and holding police accountable. In Seattle, Washington, Police Chief Carmen Best announced that she would be banning the use of tear gas on protesters for at least 30 days, and she is also calling for a review of the department's crowd control tactics. Now, in Denver, Colorado, a federal judge on Friday night granted an order to limit firing tear gas and projectiles at peaceful protesters. They have limited the ability of police officers to fire rubber bullets or use tear gases on protesters. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, City Council had an emergency vote on Friday where, in agreement with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, they have decided to ban police chokeholds. Not only is Minneapolis banning all chokeholds by police, but any officer who witnesses unauthorized use of force by another police officer must intervene as well as report it to their commander. In the new agreement, the City Council stated Black, Indigenous, and communities of color have suffered generational pain and trauma as a result of systemic and institutional racism and long-standing problems in policing. This continuous harm was once again highlighted by the in-custody death of George Floyd. And then lastly, in New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced that he would be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives and social services. The mayor also stated that details will be worked out in the budget process over the next few weeks ahead. So in all of these cities that I just mentioned, Minneapolis, Seattle, Denver, New York City, they're making some much needed changes towards legislation. And that is some good news to celebrate. You know, it's step by steps. Like I said, we need to celebrate the small baby steps. Lastly, I just want to discuss a new campaign that was launched by Campaign Zero. They're calling it 8 Can't Wait. They say that together, these 8 policies can decrease police violence by 72%. The 8 policies are ban chokeholds and strangleholds, require de-escalation, require warning before shooting, exhaust all alternatives before shooting, duty to intervene, ban shooting at moving vehicles, establish use of force continuum, and require all force be reported. Now, if you agree with any of these 8 policies and you believe that this would make a difference, you can go over and visit 8cantwait.org, find your city, call your mayor, and demand the change happen now. The organization is saying that they need you to call and email your mayors wherever you are to tell them to adopt these 8 life-saving policies right now. In Los Angeles, the mayor announced that he would be cutting the police budget and taking $150 million from their over $1 billion budget and instead diverting those funds to support Black communities. Now, there have not been official details in terms of what organizations this money is going to go to, but it is one step in the right direction. It's really important that we celebrate the good news and remind others of the good news happening around the world. So I am back and I'm better than ever. Again, last week was definitely, it's really easy to get wrapped up in everything going on in the world and really easy to feel just emotionally heavy from it, especially when you're constantly tuning into it. So that's why good news is such a wonderful alternative to the negativity and the fear that mainstream media really thrives over. So if you enjoy this good news, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can get notified every time a new episode drops or any new video on LovEvolution drops. Make sure you share this with your friends and family. Let them know about all the good news happening around the world every single day. Comment below and let me know what was your favorite news from today's episode. If you want to read more good news, head over to LovEvolution.media where you can also shop our merchandise. And I'm your host, Jessica, aka J Heart. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in today. And again, protect your energy, stay strong, stay safe, and peace and love. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap. So I thought it was a wrap, but then I realized I forgot to tell you guys. I shared this on Instagram the other day, but in Washington, D.C., the mayor has officially changed the street leading to the White House to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Not only that, but they painted a huge sign that says Black Lives Matter on the asphalt. Aside from that, I also want to mention there are so many murals around the world that I've seen all across social media honoring George Floyd, and not just honoring George Floyd, but also just demanding change. And it's just really beautiful to see how people are coming together for a common cause. And regardless of how you feel about the current circumstances, regardless of how you feel in general, it's beautiful to see people come together. So that's, again, another thing to celebrate. And yeah, now it's a wrap.